Kingsley, Associate Vice Principal Mr. Upali Ratnayaka, the Vice Principal Mr. Wilson, the co-VPs, President of the OBU Jeremy Brohier, and the PTA community, and students, parents, teachers, well-wishers, and all distinguished guests who have gathered this morning. There is no doubt that as I stand here, this is a very humbling experience to know that God has chosen me to serve Wesley. Some of you may know that I am a second-generation Wesleyite. While that may be a matter of privilege and honor, it is also a very humbling experience that the custodianship of Wesley has been entrusted to me to lead this institution forward. As I stand here on this very momentous and historic occasion, both in the life of Wesley and in my personal life, I am very conscious of the sacrifices and the prices that have been made and paid by those who have gone before us. And it is my intention to build on those values, to build on what has been achieved, so that we together as a community can enable Wesley to reach new heights and to achieve a God-given potential. I believe that if Wesley is to achieve a God-given potential and reach new heights as the Lord would have it, there are a few things that need to be in place. And I just want to spell out maybe 2 or 3 and allow you to ponder on this as we begin our journey together. The first feature that I believe needs to be in place if we are to enable Wesley to reach great heights and to achieve a God-given potential is synergy. Now I know that the word synergy is something that we don't use all the time. It's not a very common word. We use energy more often than we use synergy. But synergy means where all the individual parts come together, the individuals come together and they create a whole that is far greater, that is far superior than the total sum of the individual parts. And I believe that that needs to happen in the Wesley community if we are to reach greater heights. Some of us will recall the movie Coach Carter, with Samuel Jackson starring as the coach. And if you remember the story, the team had many fine players, all greatly talented individuals. But there was one problem. They could never come together in that spirit of synergy. And that story in that movie repeats itself so often in so many places, in so many institutions, where we have fine individuals, all extremely talented, but somehow they lack that spirit of synergy, where they can come together for the greater good of the organization, for the greater good of the community to achieve greater results. And I believe that if Wesley is to achieve a God-given potential, if Wesley is to achieve great heights, then we all need to come together in that spirit of synergy. You might be a parent, you might be a teacher, you might be a student, you might be part of the old boys community or the welfare community, but we all need to come together and recognize that we are here about a greater cause, and that is to move Wesley to where God wants her to be. The second feature that I believe needs to be in place if Wesley is to reach greater heights is the spirit of stewardship. And stewardship simply means making the best use of what is available. Some of us have heard of the famous violinist called Itzhak Perlman. And Mr. Perlman is a world-renowned violinist and he performs to packed audiences. Once when Mr. Perlman was performing, right in the middle of his performance, a violin string snapped. But Itzhak Perlman continued to play and finished his piece. And after his performance, one of the newspaper reporters asked him, Mr. Perlman, when your string snapped, why did you not stop? And Mr. Perlman gave a very profound answer. He said, it is my duty to make music with what remains. To make music with what remains. And I believe that that really captures the spirit of stewardship. At Wesley, we may not have all that we aspire. We may not possess all that we desire. But I think the spirit of stewardship, like Mr. Perlman said, is to make music with what we have. As we look around, we have so many resources that we can utilize. As we look around, there are so many people who have been underdeveloped and unutilized. It is a matter of stewardship to bring all these people together, to bring all our resources together so that we can make the best with what is available. Stewardship never questions about what is not available. The famous question, what if we had this? The other famous question is, if only we had this, we would have done something better. If only we had a better player, if only we had a better teacher, if only we had better parents, we would have done better. Stewardship never reflects on such values. Stewardship looks inward and asks itself, what can I do with what I already have? How can I put to best use the resources that I already have? The third feature that I want to focus on as we move ahead is that feature of renewed passion. I believe that in an organization as complex as Wesley, with so many stakeholders, with so many players in what we call the game of education, it is quite possible that somewhere along the line, some of you have bruised emotions. Some of you may have been hurt either intentionally or unintentionally by some of the things that have happened. And as a result of that, such hurt and such bruised feelings can actually give rise to a destruction of the passion that you once had. And that is why I believe as we look ahead that we need to look at our passion. Are we here with a spirit of passion? If not, I think it's time to renew our passion to what God has called us to do. You might be a student, you might be a teacher, you might be a member of the Old Boys leadership, you might be serving in any capacity, but are you serving with passion? Some of you may have heard of Norman Cousins, the famous newspaper reporter, and he said, the greatest tragedy of our lives is not death, but what we allow to die within us while we yet live. The greatest tragedy is not death, but what we allow to die within us while we yet live. And for some of us, that may be very true. We have served here for many years, we may have served here for a few years, but something may have happened that may have caused a part of us to die within, that killed the passion with which we served once upon a time. And it is my call, it is my encouragement to you this morning, let's lay the past aside, let's deal with the past hurts and come to our God of forgiveness, come to our God of compassion, come to our God the healer who can restore everything and cause renewed passion in each one of us. And these three elements, synergy, stewardship and renewed passion, are captured so beautifully in the story of Nehemiah in the Old Testament. When Nehemiah worked with a group of people who were pulling in different directions, many people had different agendas and vested interests, but Nehemiah brought them together and they completed, under the help of God, the completion of the wall in record time. And Nehemiah's prayer was, God, strengthen my hands. And I believe, and I pray, and I hope that God will strengthen your hands, each one of our hands, no matter what role you perform, that God would strengthen your hands so that we can rise up and build Wesley. Thank you very much.